some of the reports, they are saying that the demand for hotel accommodation for Q3 and Q4 this year is on the increase. So there is a steady demand signaling confidence in recovery. So people are not hesitant to travel, but I think the leisure travelers will come first. Second wave of, I wouldn't say wave, the second group of people who might travel would be the business travelers. So to bring them back, I think we need to encourage people who are already traveling to see what we are already doing to safeguard their interests. And that hopefully that will translate to a earlier confidence for them to return in terms of business events.
I think at the end of the day, while the venues need to manage greater COVID safe procedures and responsibilities, and there is potentially the need of bringing in additional equipment, we have to understand after enduring periods of simply not being open and not earning any revenue that's just not a cost that the venues can 100% bear. So I think in the short term, clients will need to face the fact that in the short to medium term, business events will be slightly more expensive, in my view, to run, and that's also to provide that safety and security for their attendees, which they're responsible for.
It is really, really important to make sure that all of our customers and clients are feeling satisfied from the point that they arrive at the hotel until their departure point. And with conferencing events, as they start to ramp up and scale up, and the restrictions are eased in all of the countries, it's really important that when you're welcoming large groups of people, 10, 20, my conference facilities can take up to 1,000 people, we need to make sure we've got all the systems and structures up in place to give them the levels of reassurance. And with the AllSafe program, we also have a third-party certification process. So not only do we independently are awarded that certification, but then very shortly we'll get a third-party official certification, which also validates that, no differently to us and with our HACCP compliance and requirements.
With my experience with the corporate clients right now, a lot of their budgets have been slashed, at least down by 50 to 60%. And that means that budgets for events, whether it's live events or virtual that we're running right now, is running at an all-time low. And the change would be to be very basic, to offer what is basic, and to add on value-add items as an optional item. That's number one. Number two is that if we were to do live events, and we are actually running some live events, hopefully by the third quarter, how we actually charge them would be based on additional hygiene factors that needs to be put in, like for example the creative sections that we need to add on. That definitely we have to transfer back to the customer, and that's the change there basically. But everything is worked on a very conservative manner because we need to understand that everybody has a bottom line.
I just think while there's a lot of doom and gloom, there is a lot of optimism, I think, in our industry. We are an in-person industry, and we're very excited, but there is that balancing of getting together and the risks that need to be offset in holding those activities. I think whether you're a corporate or an association, part of your thinking at this point in time would be what are the risks that we're exposed to or exposing others to. As we've said before, the safety and hygiene practices are removing those risks from a physical event perspective, but there's also some other risks that need to be considered around, insurance and possible outbreaks, as Richard mentioned as well. So all of that's been weighed up at this point in time, but I do think there's an absolute enthusiasm for things to get back to some sort of normality. But I suspect that group numbers will be smaller in the short term.
Whether it's going to be a mixture of these hybrid virtual events, how you're managing it. But look, unfortunately, there is a reduction in the amount of meetings and events we will have for the short, medium term. I've got 11 meeting rooms. So as one of our other panelists mentioned earlier, it might mean that a normal event that might have only used one meeting room might use 6, because we are using breakout rooms consecutively, where previously I wouldn't have had that availability. So I think we can manage it. And as restrictions ease, I can assure you we'll still do it in a measured response that's with safety and guest comfort at front of mind. But as soon as we can start turning up margins, we definitely will. But there will be some slight cost increases, I would imagine, across some aspects of doing groups.